my name is Sanjar Shadiev. I am the owner of KDK Fortis Group. Today is my guest, Erika, who will give you a little background about who she is in a second. But I personally got to know her in my previous conversation. Incredibly successful entrepreneur, incredibly successful mother, wife, just an overall amazing individual. Again, don't want to steal the thunder. Let her kind of give her a quick introduction. Erika, welcome.
That's great. Sanjar, thank you. It's so good to be here and talk with you. I enjoyed our first meeting so much. I am the owner and fractional chief marketing officer for Novastrat Growth, and I have a consulting business that helps CEOs to grow their businesses. And that's by putting in the right, people, processes, and technology. So it's that whole growth architecture. And, what got me here was being a business owner myself. I started a chain of medical spas and ran those for a decade to multi-location, and then joined the private equity world to help grow and scale mid-market healthcare businesses. And after having 3 successful exits, what I enjoy doing now is helping other people scale and grow their businesses, mostly in the health space, health tech, medical device, healthcare services, wellness. But I understand what it's like to be in the hot seat, having been a CEO, a COO, a CMO. And so, now my joy is helping others scale.
Essentially giving back.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, you're in a season of life of giving back, right? That's incredible.
I
And
am.
absolutely so honored to even pick your brain today for a few minutes. And the first question I have for you is you went from big corporate America to opening a medical spa after your MBA. What sparked the entrepreneurial shift and what did that first step leap feel like?
That's a great question, Sandra. And I never had any intention of doing it. I went back to get my MBA while I was working in corporate America. I'd relocated 9 times in 10 years with one company.
Wow.
And just kept moving around and getting promoted. And I would raise my hand when people said, hey, we need somebody to go do this and, wherever. And I always would volunteer to be the one to uproot and move. So I went back to get my MBA to kind of punch that ticket, if you will. I felt like that was a necessary requirement in corporate America to become a senior executive. But in the process of doing that, I really caught the entrepreneurial bug. I had to pick a project for graduation. I was kind of stressed out. I, went to a spa to have a massage, and I thought, I bet I could do this, and I bet I could make money at it. And I just wanted it to be a little more medical than, fluffy. And that was right when medical spas were starting. So, I thought about it. I was on an upward trajectory. Do I, leave the surefire path and start my own business? But I kept weighing it, and I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it. And I just took that plunge. I borrowed from my 401k.
Wow. Did you?
Yeah, I went and got bank loans. But the best approach was to borrow from myself. And I just, I went from a 6-figure a year salary to paying myself $20,000 a year from my own 401k and said,
Wow.
I'm either going to do it or I'm going to fail big, but let's do it.
And it's okay, right? And it's okay. And I think a lot of people have that fear of, you just made a comment about 6-figure paying job. What's going to happen? Am I gonna be able to find something at the same level? Instead, it's okay. There will be plenty of jobs. I already know I'm capable. It's okay. But if I don't take a shot now, then when? And it's always gonna be that cycle. Maybe later, maybe when things gonna align. You went all out, cashing out your 401k. Oh my gosh, talking about the best investment you've made, right? 3 successful exits.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
It was the right move, but I was okay if it wasn't the right
Mhm.
move. It's like, if nothing ventured, nothing gained. I feel like I wanted to do more than just be in one department. I wanted to really learn the whole business. And I kind of had this passion for wanting to help others. Like it's okay to take care of yourself if you're going to help others. And that was the whole the med spa. It was more than 20 years ago, and there was this whole thing that I had learned of push, push, push in the corporate world. And there was something about self-care that I thought, it is okay to take care of yourself. Why
It
not?
That's right.
And if I, fail, why not just fail now? I'm young enough, I'll recover. And believe me, I made mistakes along the way, but I was fortunate to not fail and to keep going and be able to take those experiences into the private equity world.
Good for you. Wow. Did not know that part of your story. That's so inspiring because, and I'm going to get back to kind of when you started in a second, because you believe you had one child, right? Also on top of that, right?
Yeah,
Or
while I was starting the business,
so
yeah.
you went from a six-figure cushioning job, ongoing income, options to paying yourself 20K, sometimes nothing, right? Sometimes nothing. Yep. And with the babies needing food, like that is awesome. And I feel like who you become in the process, like you said, it's okay if I fail, but I'm sure you've learned a lot of things about yourself that gain your own self-respect that you were not aware of it if you haven't ever put yourself in that position, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember being on a chamber board, an executive committee while I was there, and bringing my baby with me to a board meeting. And I was one of the few women in there, and I know I got some sidelong looks in bringing a child to a board meeting. I was like, if you want me, this is my
That's what you
life.
get. Yeah, that's what you get.
Yeah, this is what you get. So
Awesome.
here I am.
You were featured in Entrepreneur magazine 5 times. Five, not
Yep.
once, five. And four of those were about mistakes you made. Do you mind me asking, like, which mistake taught you the most? And what would you tell a founder facing that same situation today?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always one to raise my hand. I mean, I'm not shy and everybody makes mistakes. So why not help others learn from those if you can?
Hmm.
And there were two really that stand out that are completely different. One was, it was, can you think of a time where you ever promoted somebody too quickly? And I was like, oh yeah, yes, I've fallen into that for two reasons. One, I want to keep the talent that I have. And, I've been fortunate to attract amazing talent. I don't want them to leave. So I want to continuously challenge them, put them in new roles. And number two, I want more time back. It's a selfish reason for my own life. So give somebody else some more responsibility, get it off my plate. But really making sure that someone is ready for more responsibility and taking somebody from an individual contributor to managing others or managing a P&L, that's a major move. And I did it too quickly.
Hmm.
And that has been a lifelong lesson that I really ask a lot of questions. I don't want somebody to fail. So they can fail by being promoted too quickly.
100%.
If they fail, it's on me as the
Mm.
as the leader if I promoted them before they're ready. It's so really make sure. And then the second one is growing the business too quickly. I'm a type AAA plus personality type. I like to go. I push that elevator button, 10 times. It only works once, but that's a type A personality. And, I want to grow quickly, but making sure that there is enough cash to support 6 months to 1 year of operations. It was actually the fifth location that I opened when there was an economic downturn and other situations. And, I ended up carrying that business for too long. I should have shut it down but it drained the company of the cash reserves.
Wow.
And it was almost a fatal error. It wasn't, thank God, we came through it. And my team didn't know at the time. I was not paying myself to be able to pay my team and to smile and make sure that we would get through this. But it was really on me, because had I admitted defeat and say, okay, we're growing too quickly, we need more reserves on hand before making this next steps, I would not have been in that position.
Interesting. When a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs would look at this as a great problem to have, this actually can be a negative impact on the back end if you do not properly prepare for it, right? If you don't have processes in place that can support that growth properly.
Yeah, I hit that economic downturn in 2008, and had medical spas where, when the bottom dropped out of the market, people were not spending discretionary income for a while. And so that last one that I opened, there were lots of signals in the marketplace that there was going to be an economic downturn, and I had overconfidence
Interesting.
because I grew so quickly. And the economy, looking at the market signals for what's going to happen, and we can really correlate that to what's happening now in the marketplace, in two ways. One, people are frozen and not moving. Should they be frozen? No. Should they be looking at, and am I growing in line with what my cash position can support? And they're the only ones that can answer that.
May I possibly get your opinion on the third reason? Maybe should I be considering systemizing certain things with AI? Because if you don't, I don't know. I don't know. I would love your opinion on that. Certain things.
100%. I mean, what you're speaking to, Santar, is something that I see in my role now all the time. People are wanting to scale and replicate, repeatable, sales in other markets, with other products, with other services. And they're adding AI, and that's an investment. But I spend probably 50% of my time pulling back AI that was deployed too quickly and either not used, or it's exposing problems with their processes, with the growth architecture that they
Interesting.
didn't know existed before. And AI is an accelerator, right? So if they're accelerating growth and everything, their systems and processes aren't working correctly, it's going to create a big hot mess.
100%.
For sure.
100%. Yeah, as an automation agent, owner of automation agent, I always see owners want to get ahead and deploy so many services, such a lead gen, such a social media presence, such a, automating a lot of other processes, but their website not even ready to support that growth.
Right.
And I always encourage my clients, like, hey, let's go with phase one, phase two, because if you don't know how the phase one properly executed, let alone get your results, phase two will be a waste of time, waste of resources, and going to cost you more.
Right.
So well said, right? Let's switch to the topic of small business owners often stay small because they struggle to delegate. I want to speak about delegation. You highlighted that. It was one of your biggest strengths. Obviously, you've learned that later, but you certainly done a great job to growing to multiple locations, right? Can you maybe talk about the mindset shift here, right? That separates a founder who scales from one or who stays stuck in one or two locations forever?
Absolutely. I would say, perfectionism can get in the way of progress sometimes. So, if you want everything to be perfect all the time, and you're that kind of founder owner, it's hard to grow. And I see this in my work now, sort of trying to identify what is the story and the makeup of this founder leader, to be able to classify that. Because if you're a perfectionist, you just want everything to be perfect, and that day never comes. Yeah,
There's
it's
always new things, right? There's always
right,
new things to develop.
right. it never comes. So that can get in the way of progress. And, say don't let perfection get in the way of progress. Number two is fear of failure. And I see these brilliant scientists, and I work a lot in the medical community, so scientists or providers, doctors, surgeons, that create something new, and there's a complexity that's added to that. And so they're very features focused, very, how does this work in the system? How is it built, or engineers, as opposed to what difference will this make in the world? How will this help patients? How will it help hospital organizations that use it, and systems, and their ability to tell that story of how it all fits in. And those can get in the way of scaling. The more complexity that's added, complexity is a killer of scale and repeatability.
I love that. Complexity is a killer of scale. The simpler it is, the easier it is to scale, right? Because everybody can do it in a good way.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's got to break it down to what is the story behind this, the big why.
The big why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simpler the better, right? After building a chain, working in private equity with 3 exits, you led 16 dermatology clinics as a CEO, something like that, right?
Right.
You chose a fractional path, right? What made you walk away from all of that, and what does balanced life look like for you now? Because as a business owner who led that many organizations, sometimes it's not about money anymore. It's the impact that you feel good about it. How are you, like, what does that look like for you now?
Yeah, Sandra, I think the money question was answered. I was very fortunate, so I wasn't having to strive for the next dollar. But there were times along the way, literally, I didn't tell anybody this at the time, but I was in the fetal position. Like, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to get through this next step? And we had a mental health organization that we were scaling through COVID. And yeah, there was a time when the shutdown happened, and everything depends upon seeing your patient. How are we going to get through this? And we were leveraged at the time. We had investor money. So, you can't fail, and you have to come together as a team. You're not the only one in there, so you have to work as a team. You can't all be in the fetal position at the same time. And you have to admit that vulnerability and say, guys, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get to that next life? Here are the realities of where we are now. How do we get to the next step? And then we do it. We actually make it through by some, stars and moon and sun all align. And there's an element of luck, there's an element of perseverance, and there's an element of admitting your vulnerability with others and
Oh my
coming
God.
together
What
and
a
saying, we will not fail. And, I can recognize other founders, other, CEOs that are in that frozen, I call it the fetal position, but it's like, I don't know what to do next. I know that feeling, and I want to help at that time, because there is a pathway. I mean, there's always a pathway, and you may not like some of the options and trade-offs, but there is a pathway.
But there's a pathway.
And
There is a,
so
yeah.
you don't give up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about not giving up, right? You're a mother of 5. I have 4 children. We had a little conversation about teaching the next generation, right? Some of these success principles that we've learned owning a company or owning a business, right? You talked about not giving up your kids, not giving your kids an answer and forcing them to think through their options, right? How does that same philosophy apply to the CEO and business owners you work with today?
It's not that different.
Hey, God,
And
are you
I
kidding me?
love that question. No, it's not that different. I mean, we're all human, right?
Just at a different level, right? I mean, different age gap.
That, it's just, you know, my kids today look back at this and they're grateful, but they used to get so angry with me when I would say, figure it out, figure it out. And they'd say, just give me the answers, tell me what to do, and I'll go do it. That's what you say when you're in a hurry, you need results, you're under pressure. What's different in being a CEO? You need results, you're under pressure.
Wow.
It's kind of the same thing, but it's like, let's break it apart. What's the scenario? What's happening right now? What are your options? What are your different choices? What do you think would happen if you do this? I mean, you say that's coaching, but I think we as leaders don't always give ourselves enough space to think through the options because we feel like we need to have an answer quickly for the rest of our team. Our kids just want to get on to something fun. Yeah, they just want to get on to the next thing. What do I have to do? And it's like, well, think this through, and how would you approach it? What are the different things that you could do? I mean, hey, we even turned going to bed into something fun instead of you have to go to bed. My husband would do this. And instead of saying, it's not a choice, you have to go to bed now, it would be like, you know what? You have a choice. You can go to bed any way that you want to. You can do handstands to bed. You can do cartwheels to bed. You can jump rope to bed. You can crawl, and
That's
they're
amazing
like,
advice.
oh, I have a different way. You mean, can I do somersaults to bed? Yes, you can do
I'm
somersaults to
definitely trying this tonight. I'm not kidding. Seems like it's a
bed.
battle every single night for me, right? With 4 kids. That's incredible. So essentially, what a great lesson there. Essentially, just as a leader, you have to understand sometimes we as leaders are not just about giving responses, but we're all about equipping our people that we're leading. And that means sometimes when you act under pressure, take a step back and not emotionally react to it, but ask yourself, how can I equip them to think for themselves? Because that's the ultimately greatest way to lead them and equipping them.
Exactly. And even the answers probably exist on that team, but bringing them together and saying, team, here's the scenario we're in.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't want to have the answers without your input.
Yeah. That's
So
so
I'd like to hear from you. How should we approach this next chapter?
Yeah, that's an incredible advice and thought process. Erika, we're obviously coming to the end of our podcast. One advice that you probably would feel like that's on your heart right now that everybody should hear.
We have like the family tattoo, which is
Do you
down 7
really?
up 8. Yeah, pretty much. I'm the only one without it, but who knows? Down 7, up 8, and it's actually Nana Karobi Yaoki. It's I guess a Japanese phrase. If you fall down 7 times, you get up 8, and there is always a way to the next phase, but don't be afraid. It's the ones that freeze when they say there's too much volatility, too much uncertainty, that freeze and don't take that step, that never experience the other side. That's how you pull away from your competition, is by taking those brave, courageous steps when you don't know the outcome.
Like going from 6-figure income to cashing out 401k to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
What a great
That's right.
story. Erika, thank you so much. I'll make sure the viewers will have your website and your contact information. If obviously anybody would like to get in touch with Erika, you'll have that in the description. This has been one of the most probably impactful episodes I've personally recorded for the past 5-6 months. Appreciate you, Erika, and thank you so much. And if you viewers like this video, please like this video, follow us for more similar type of episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.